Hey guys, Rusted Ground here. Welcome back to another video. So, Baldur's Gate 3 is out. This is my most anticipated game of 2023, as I've said in previous videos. And before I start playing the game, I want to make a video about the classes that are available at launch. This is partially to show you what's available in the game, but also to kind of go through the classes and decide on what to go with for my first playthrough. For me, the way it's going to work is I'm going to be playing a solo playthrough myself. I'll be playing a co-op playthrough with my buddy Netstorm, and sometimes, hopefully in the near future, we're looking at playing a 4-man co-op game. So I kind of have an idea of what I would want to start the game as in my solo playthrough. I also have an idea of what I would like to play in the co-op playthrough with Netstorm, but we haven't really talked about it because we've both been very busy and we won't really have the time to play the game for a few weeks now due to work and life, So in the meantime, because I can't play it in a co-op, I will be playing it on my own in a solo run, and just to see how the game is and, make the decisions that I want to make and so on and so forth. I'm not saying that in a co-op I wouldn't make the decisions, but, when you play with a friend, you need to bounce off each other and make the decisions together and so on and so forth. So anyways, without further ado, let's just get into this video because I think it's going to be a bit of a long one, and I know maybe you're not interested in me rambling. Maybe you actually do care to see what's available at launch. If you haven't bought the game yet, maybe you're considering playing it for yourselves, but you don't know, what you're getting yourselves into, and maybe you just want to see what the game has to offer from a class perspective. This is not going to be a guide. This is not me just, giving you ideas of how to build your characters and so on and so forth. I don't even know how I would want to build my character, and I'm not really very good when it comes to like D&D classes and so on and so forth. Even though I played D&D before, I'm not an expert, so I have an idea, like I said, of what I would want to try, but at the end of the day, I will be learning some new things myself, right? Especially since also this game is D&D or is based on the D&D 5th edition, but I understand that there have been some changes made to the classes, to the spells and so on and so forth. Just slight changes so that it makes them look better or feel better in an online environment. Anyways, without further ado, when you start the game and you get into the character creation, this is where you're gonna land. The first thing that you need to choose is your origin, by the looks of it. Also, this is the first time I'm actually... Well, it's not the first time that I'm actually seeing this. It's the first time that I'm actually in my own game seeing this, because I've seen this screen and presentations and the panels from hell and so on and so forth. Anyways, so you get to choose your origin here. You can either be a custom origin with me, which means you are creating your own character, or you can choose one of these origin characters. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 origin characters, and the 7th is the Dark Urge. From some of the interviews that I've seen with Sven in Larian Studios, he was saying that he doesn't recommend starting the game as the Dark Urge, just because this is an evil character, and he recommends people are either doing a custom character or starting with one of the origin characters so that they see the game and then play the Dark Urge to see the other side, or a different side of the game. So we're not going to do I'm definitely not going with the Dark Urge. So Astarion is your high elf rogue by the looks of it. Lae'zel is your Githyanki fighter. Gale is your human wizard. Shadowheart is your high elf cleric. Half elf, sorry, not high elf. Half elf cleric. Will is your human warlock, and Karlach is your tiefling barbarian. These origin characters you will get to meet in the game, you will get to have in your party and play with them in your party, or if you want, you can choose one of them to play as, right? Now, we're going to go custom, and we're going to... Whoa, hello. We're going to choose the race. So as you can see here, we have, 8, 9, 10, 11 races that we can choose from. So let's see here. The elves with ethereal countenances and long lifespans. Elves are at home with nature's power, flourishing in light and dark alike. Race features: you can move 9 meters per turn. Elven weapon training: you have proficiency with the long sword, short bow, and long bow. Okay, so that makes me think about either, like warriors or rogues or rangers, stuff like that, maybe. Dark vision: you can see in the dark up to 12 meters. And Fey ancestry: you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed and magic. Cannot put you to sleep. Cool. Tieflings are descended from devils of the 9 hells. Tieflings face constant suspicion in Faerun. Thankfully, their arcane abilities make them natural survivors. You can move 9 meters per turn. You have dark vision as well, just like the elves. And you have hellish resistance. You have resistance to fire damage, taking only half of damage from it. Now, from another interview that I saw with Larian, with the guys at Larian, elf apparently was the most played with race in their early access. So most of the people that created custom characters in the early access, they created elves. That was the #1 spot, and I think the #2 was half elf or something like that. But yeah, it's interesting. They look pretty good. You can choose your body type here. This is body type 3. Body type 4 is this dude right here. And then body type 1 and 2 are essentially a skinnier versions. Okay, so you have like a skinny version and then like a buff version. Interesting. Cool. Tieflings, we went through them. Drows. Driven to the Underdark, most Drow have adopted a ruthless pragmatism. While the Lothsorn delight in the goddess's evil tenets, the Seldarine reject her attempt to overthrow the leader of the Elven Pantheon. 9 meters per turn. Drow weapon training. You have proficiency with rapier, short sword, and hand crossbow. Cool. Immediately that makes me think of rogue for some reason. But also rapier, I think warriors might use rapiers as well, I believe. Superior dark vision. These guys can see in the dark up to 24 meters. Okay, so double the distance that tieflings and elves can. And Fey ancestry, saving throw, advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic cannot put you to sleep, similar to the elf. Then we have the humans. The most common face in Faerun. Humans are known for their tenacity, creativity, and endless capacity for growth. Okay, civil militia. You have weapon proficiency with spears, pikes, halberds, what the hell? I cannot read this word. Halberds, my bad. And glaives, and armor proficiency with light armor and shields. Human versatility. Select an additional skill to be proficient in. Your carrying capacity is increased by 1/4. Okay. Right. All right. Githyanki. This is a new race, I believe, that they introduced in the game. I don't think it's a 5th edition D&D race. I don't think so. With a ruthlessness born from mind flayer enslavement, Githyanki ride the astral sea atop red dragons, bringing their silver swords and psionic might to bear against any trace of the Illithid menace. Right, so they are basically the arch enemy of the bad guys in this game, right? They come with astral knowledge, gain proficiency in all skills of a chosen ability. Okay. They have cantrips already. Look at that. So this guy is a barbarian and he has a cantrip. Interesting. So for those of you that don't know, cantrips are spells that you can use an unlimited number of times. The other spells have levels, and you have certain slots that you can use to use these spells, and once you've used all your slots, then you cannot use those spells anymore. But the cantrips you can use at will. Githyanki Psionic's Mage Hand. Create an invisible spectral hand that can manipulate and interact with objects. Nice. Race features, you can move 9 meters, and Martial Prodigy, a lifetime of relentless training, gave you armor proficiency with light and medium armor, as well as proficiency with the short sword, long sword, and great sword. So these guys are barbarians, are warriors, are nice, nice, nice. Alright, Dwarf, one of my favorite classes ever in any game that I play, if I'm being honest. As durable and unyielding as their homes of stone, dwarves are some of the finest warriors, miners, and smiths of Faerun. They have basic racial speed. They can move only 7.5 meters per turn, so less than every other race so far. Dwarven combat training, you have proficiency with battle axes, hand axes, light hammers, and war hammers. Nice. Dark vision, you can see in the dark up to 12 meters, and Dwarven resilience, you have advantage on saving throws against poison, and you have resistance to poison damage. Yeah, dwarves, immediately when I look at a dwarf, I see either a cleric or a paladin, something like that. I don't know, that's just me, I guess. Okay, half-elves. Curious, ambitious, and versatile, half-elves are welcome everywhere, but struggle without a community to call their own. Okay. 9 meters per turn. You have weapon proficiency with spears, spikes, halberds, and glaives, and armor proficiency with light armor and shield. So this is what they take, I guess, from... So half-elves are human with elf combined. So this is what they take from human. The dark vision they take from their elf ancestry, and then they have the fey ancestry that they take from their elf heritage. All right. Saving throws, advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic cannot put you to sleep. Halflings is another favorite race of mine, to be honest. Small yet capable, halflings prefer the comforts of home and hearth, but their natural luck and dexterity makes them fine adventurers. They move the same as the dwarves, 7.5 meters per turn. They are lucky when you roll a 1 for an attack roll. Sorry. Just clicked into that. So when you roll a 1 for an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool because essentially you can nullify any critical failures. When you roll a 1 in D&D, that's a critical failure. Irrespective of what bonuses you have, it's a critical failure. You can't do anything about it. At the same time, if you roll a natural 20 on a die, that's a critical success, and technically, irrespective of what bonuses you get, technically you should succeed in what you're trying to do, except for when the DM says no. Sort of. All right, they're also brave. You have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. That's pretty cool. I like these guys as well. All right, gnomes. Small, clever, and energetic, gnomes use their long lives to explore Faerun's brightest corners and darkest depths. They only have 2 race features, so again, their racial speed is lower than the other classes, it's 7.5, just like the dwarves and the halflings. But they have gnome cunning, which means they have advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. That's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, Dragonborn. This is one of the first of the last races that they announced. So Dragonborn are a proud race that values clan and skills above all else. Once enslaved by dragons, they strive to be self-sufficient, not wanting to be beholden to anyone, not even the gods. Okay, they don't have a race feature, but I know that they have sub-races. So I don't know if you've noticed this here, but some of the classes, if not all of the classes, okay, some of the classes have sub-races, other classes don't have sub-races, right? So, for example, humans don't have a sub-race, Githyanki don't have a sub-race. That's it, I guess, for now. Half-Orcs Half-Orcs don't have a subrace. So the subrace would give you additional things on top of, yeah, what your race gives you. So the Dragonborn, they have multiple subraces here because they are like, depending on the color of their skin, I would say, right? Or their scales, I should say. So they can be like black dragons, blue, brass, bronze, etc. And as you can see, they have all sorts of abilities, and I think all of these are abilities. Some of them are features, sorry, abilities and features. Yeah. So these are passive skills, basically. The blood of ancient dragon flows through your veins. You're resistant to poison. So the green dragons are resistant to poison. Gold dragons are resistant to fire, right? To fire damage. Copper are resistant to acid damage. Red resistant to fire. White resistant to frost, I think, or cold damage. Yeah, silver, same. Brass, fire damage. Bronze are resistant to lightning damage, for example. Blue, the same. And black are resistant to acid damage. So yeah, so you get a few bonuses even though you don't have any other race features. Now, moving on to half-orc, sorry. Creatures of intense emotion, half-orcs are more inclined to act than contemplate, whether the rage burning their bodies compels them to fight or the love filling their hearts inspires acts of incredible kindness. So half-orcs, I believe, are a mix between an orc and a human. So, I think, might be wrong. So they have dark vision. I might be wrong. Are they a mix between elf and orc? It might be. So they have dark vision, same as the elves. Base ratio 9 meters per turn. Relentless endurance. They definitely get this from the orc side. If you reach 0 points, you regain 1 hit point instead of being downed, which is pretty cool. So you come back to life basically. I think you have to roll a die or something. Maybe I might be wrong. And then race features savage attacks. When you land a critical hit with a melee weapon attack, your damage dice are tripled instead of doubled. So critical hits in D&D means that you double the dice, or the values of the, no, you double the dice that you roll with, right? And that's how much damage you do. For these guys, you triple. So immediately I'm thinking like barbarians, like rogues, like warriors that are DPS warriors and stuff like that, you know. The guys that, even monks, I believe, because monks also use melee weapons and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. Okay, so these are the races. Now, let's go to... Should we go through the sub-races? Yeah, screw it. Let's just go through the sub-races. It's going to be a long video anyway, so... Sub-races for the elf, we have the High Elf. Heirs of the mystical Feywild, High Elves value magic in all of its forms, and even those who do not study spellcraft can manipulate the weave. You get a Firebolt cantrip, which does 1d10 fire damage. Pretty cool. Then you have the Wood Elves. These elves spend their reclusive lives in Faerun's forests. Decades of training in archery and camouflage are enhanced by otherworldly swiftness. Your movement speed is increased by 1.5 meters. So that means an elf can move 9 meters. So if you're a wood elf, you get 10.5 meters. All right. Tieflings. Their sub-races are Asmodeus Tiefling, bound to Nessus, the deepest layer of the Hells. These Tieflings inherited the ability to wield fire and darkness from the archdevil Asmodeus's infernal bloodline. I believe Asmodeus is a god, I think, in D&D. I might be wrong. Anyways, he's an archdevil as well. They can produce flame. It's a cantrip. A flame in your hand sheds a light in a 9-meter radius and deals 1 to 8 fire damage. I think it's a 1d8 fire damage, right, when thrown. Throwing the flame immediately after you conjure it does not cost an action. Interesting. Extinguishing it or throwing it on a subsequent turn costs an action. Cool. Okay. That's great. All right. Mephistopheles Tiefling. Descended from the archdevil Mephistopheles, these Tieflings are gifted with a particular affinity for arcane magic. They get Mage Hand, so they can create a spectral hand that can manipulate and interact with objects. Same as the Githyanki, I believe. Zariel Tieflings are from Zariel's bloodline, are empowered with martial strength and can channel searing flame to punish their enemies. Interesting. They get Thaumaturgy, which is another cantrip. Gain advantage on intimidation and performance checks for 10 turns. I like it. For 10 turns, or does it have a cool... I think it has a cooldown of 10 turns. I don't know. Maybe it's just for 10 turns. Right. Cool. I like that. Okay. Drows. Let's see. They have two subraces. Lolthsworn Drow, raised by Lolth's cult in the city of... Hello, hold on a second. Menzoberranzan. Let's try that. These Drow embody the virtues of their corrupt and merciless goddess. Loth marks her followers with bright red eyes, so those in the Underdark will learn to fear them on sight. Cool. Nothing special about them. Maybe not now. Maybe you get something by playing the game when you level up. Interesting. Seldarine Drow. Seldarine Drow can be found seeking allies from all over Faerun, aiming to settle their conflicts with Lolth and each other by any means necessary. Okay, I think this is a race that is very mysterious. Okay. Humans, they don't have a subclass. Githyanki, they don't have a subclass. Dwarfs can be gold dwarfs. These dwarves are known for their confidence and keen intuition. The culture of their deep kingdom values family, ritual, and fine craftsmanship. Cool. And they have dwarven toughness. Your hit point maximum increases by 1 and increases by 1 again every time you gain a level. Cool. So, you know, this can be a great tank that gets one max hit point. Maybe not that great for a tank. I don't know. 1 hit point doesn't... It's not that much, is it? But maybe it is. I don't know. Shield Dwarf. Great losses in ancient war against goblins and orcs have led these dwarves to adopt a cynical mindset, but they will endure anything to restore their ancestral homelands. They get Dwarven Armor Training, which is armor proficiency with light and medium armor. Cool. And Duergar, once enslaved by the Eldritch Mind Flayers. Okay, so this is a new... I think this is a new race. I don't know if these guys are in D&D 5e. Maybe they are. Duergar adapted to freedom with harsh practicality. Their cold demeanor and gift of stealth are well known throughout the Underdark. Rogues, definitely. Superior dark vision, cool. And Duergar resilience, which means they have advantage on saving throws against illusions and against being charmed or paralyzed. Yep, definitely stealthy classes. These guys, awesome. Alright, let's go to High Elf. Sorry, Half Elf. I don't know why I say High Elf. It's because it's written here, High Half Elf. So, we have High Half Elves, which a touch of the Feywild remains in these High Elves with this bloodline, and even those untrained in magic possess a hint of wild power. You get Firebolt, nice. Wood Half Elf, like their Wood Elf parent, these Half Elves have a quickened stride and an eye for stealth, yet many break away from isolation in Faerun's forests to explore the rest of the realms. Movement speed increased, okay, and the Drow half-elf, okay. Most half-Drow result from liaisons between Seldarine, Drow, and Surfacers. While half-Drow inherited a few magical gifts, they aren't usually raised in the Underdark. They get Dancing Lights, which is a cantrip that illuminates in a 9-meter radius. Nice. Okay. Halflings can be Lightfoot halflings, stealthy but social. These halflings travel all over Faerun to make names for themselves. And they get a feature called Naturally Stealthy. You have advantage on stealth checks. Cool. So great rogues, probably. Or other classes. I'm just rogue just comes to mind immediately. Or ranger even. And Strongheart halfling. Legend has it that dwarven blood gave Stronghearts their hardiness, resistant to poison, and well springs of endurance. These halflings easily hold their own. They have a strong heart resilience, which gives them advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance to poison damage. Cool. Gnomes, we have a few subclasses here. We have the rock gnome. The most commonly seen gnomes on Faerun's surface, rock gnomes are named as such for their hardiness and affinity for metal. They get dark vision and artificer's lore, add twice your proficiency bonus to history checks. Cool. Forest gnomes, even smaller than their cousins and twice as reclusive, forest gnomes are a rare sight in Faerun. They master magic and craftsmanship in their distant idyllic groves. They get a spell from the start, speak with animals, gain the ability to comprehend and communicate with beasts. Cool. And they get dark vision as a feature. Deep gnome, more guarded than their surface cousins. Deep gnomes survive in the Underdark with dark vision and skillful stealth. So, better dark vision, superior dark vision, and stone camouflage. You have advantage on stealth checks. Cool. Okay. Dragonborn, like I said, we kind of went through these guys, so depending on the color of your scales, you get different abilities. So black gets, despite no ancestral links to the mighty creatures, these Dragonborn share the charcoal coloration and fizzling acrid breath of black dragons. You get acid breath, which does 2d6 damage, and it's a class action. I think that's considered a spell. I don't think you can use it at will and as many times as you want. And then you are resistant to acid damage. Blue dragons have a lightning breath and are resistant to lightning damage. Okay, these guys have fire breath, 2d6 fire, 2d6 lightning for the bronze, 2d6 acid damage for the copper, fire for... I don't know, hold on a second. Fire breath here. Why? It's weird that these things... Why are they different, I wonder? Why are these icons different when it's the same? Fire breath. Fire breath. Huh. Okay. I don't know. It's the same ability. You know what I mean? Look, this guy has... Interesting. Why does the brass have this icon? Weird. Because the subrace feature is the same. Okay, anyways. It is what it is. Dragonborn have... white Dragonborn have frost breath. Green Dragonborn have poison breath, and so on. Alright, and half-orcs, I said they don't have any... subclasses. So let's move on to the classes, because this is why you are here. Oh, sorry, my mistake. The High Elf cantrip, apparently you can change it and you have multiple choices. That's awesome. You may change your cantrip by selecting another one from the wizard spell list below. This cantrip doesn't use special spell slots and can be cast at will. It uses your intelligence as a modifier. That's awesome. So High Elf can use different cantrips. Huh. Is it only High Elves? Yes, it's only High Elves because they're cool that way. Cool. Alright. Right, let's go through the classes now. That's why we're here, right? It's only been like, what, 20-something minutes? Okay, so these are the classes. Now, the classes are available for all the races, right? So when you're creating a character, you know, you can create any character you want. The classes are available for everyone. Right, so we have Barbarians. The strong embrace the wild that hides inside keen instincts. That hides inside, okay, sorry. Keen instincts, primal physicality, and most of all, an unbridled, unquenchable rage. Awesome. Bards, you know music is more than a fancy. It is power. Through study and adventure, you have mastered song, speech, and the magic within. You automatically get 2 cantrips. Vicious Mockery, one of the coolest cantrips in my opinion. You basically insult a creature and it has disadvantage on its next attack roll, which is awesome. And then you have Blade Ward, excuse me, another cantrip. Take only half the damage from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing attacks. and you have a bunch of spells, but I believe the spells that you get to choose your spells in here, so don't worry about that. I think you can choose... No, you cannot choose your cantrips. So a bard cannot choose its cantrips. These are the cantrips that you start with. You also have an action, Bardic Inspiration, another very cool ability in my opinion. Inspire an ally to add a 1d6 bonus to their next attack, roll, ability check, or saving throw. It's pretty cool. Class features, level 1 spell slots are unlocked. You gain 2 level 1 spell slots, which are restored on a long rest. That's awesome. So you start the bard with 2 level 1 spell slots. Nice. Okay. And you have a starting instrument. Pick the instrument you'd like to use. It will influence the soundscape when you cast spells and can be changed later by equipping a different instrument. You have hand drums, flutes, lutes, lyres, and violins. Nice. I like it. Okay. Clerics. Okay. Clerics. Jeez. So clerics come with their own subclasses as well, which we're going to go through them. So clerics are representatives of the gods they worship, wielding potent divine magic for good or for ill. They start off with 3 cantrips, which you can definitely change. There you go. So you have a selection of 7 cantrips, and you can choose 3 of them, right? They start off with 5 spells, which again you cannot change. No, not again. Which you cannot change, apparently. And you have 2 level 1 spells unlocked from the get-go, and you gain spells from your domain, and they are always prepared. Awesome. Cool. Right. I'm not gonna lie, Cleric is one of the classes that I was thinking about playing. And yeah, I'm actually thinking about playing a Cleric in the co-op game. Okay, so let's go to subclasses for the Cleric. So this is so cool. So you can be a elf, choose a subrace, and then be a Cleric, and then choose a subclass. It's pretty cool. So subclasses, as you can see, we're talking about 7 possible subclasses. You can be a Cleric of the Life Domain, which is an aspect of many good deities offering spells that protect and restore the mind, body, and soul. So automatically you get Cure Wounds, which does a 1d8 plus 3 healing, and you can heal a creature that you can touch. And you get Bless up to 3 creatures. They gain a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and saving throws. Yeah, this is pretty cool. So Life Domain is essentially your healer, I believe. I think so. I might be wrong, but I believe so. Light Domain is offered by deities of justice, majesty, and primordial flame, providing spells that dispel darkness and harm the undead. You automatically get the cantrip Light, which infuses an object with an aura of light. You get 2 life domain spells, which I don't think you can choose, and those are Burning Hands, deal 3d6 fire damage to everyone that can be lit on fire. Wowzers. Okay. And Fairy Fire, all targets within the light turn visible and attack rolls against them have advantage. I think Burning Hands, if my memory serves me right from the last time I've played D&D, Burning Hands in the 5th edition is only for, I might be wrong here, only for enemies that you can touch with your Burning Hands. I might be wrong here, but anyway, it's pretty cool. And you have a feature of Warding Flare. Shield yourself with Divine Light. Use your reaction to impose disadvantage on an attacker, possibly causing their attacks to miss. That's pretty powerful to me. Jeez. Okay. Trickery Domain. A domain shared by wicked, chaotic, and mischievous deities alike. Those who channel trickery specialize in deception and illusion magic. Nice. Blessing of the Trickster. Grant another creature advantage on stealth checks. That's pretty cool. Trickery domain spells, you get Charm Person, which means you can charm a humanoid to prevent it from attacking you. You gain advantage on charisma checks in dialogue. That's awesome. Enemies have advantage on saving throws against being charmed. Okay, interesting. And then you also get Disguise Self, which magically changes all aspects of your appearance. Nice. Pretty cool, this one as well. Knowledge domain, adaptable and a drought, in all manner of languages and skills. Your mind is an intellectual cup brimming with exquisite knowing. You get command, which commands a creature to flee, move closer, freeze, drop to the ground, or drop its weapon. Nice, for 1 turn. And you get sleep, puts a creature into a magical slumber. Select targets up to a combined 24 hit points. Okay, so the way sleep works is basically the target that you're trying to put to sleep needs to have 24 or less hit points in order for this to work. Otherwise, it won't work. Nature domain. You embody the vast viridian power of the natural world, an avatar of the subtle divinity of fruitfall, avian migration, woodland silence, and the landslide's roaring fury. You get Shillelagh. Your staff or club becomes magical. It deals 4 to 11 bludgeoning damage and uses your spell casting ability for attack rolls. You get 2 spells, Speak with Animals, we've spoken about this before, and Animal Friendship, which lets you convince a beast not to attack you. The creature must have an intelligence of 3 or less. Condition ends early if you or an ally hurts the target. In higher difficulty modes, the target might become hostile when the spell ends. Nice. And you have subclass features. You have Acolyte of Nature. You can learn a Druid cantrip and become proficient in animal handling, nature, or survival. Pretty interesting, the nature domain, I must say. Tempest domain. Your faith has made you the very thunder that quakes the black firmament, the lightning coursing through the veins of a terrible storm. You get access to Thunder Wave, 2d8 thunder damage, release a wave of thunderous force that pushes away all creatures and objects. Nice. Fog Cloud, the cloud blinds and heavily obscures creatures within it. Nice. And your subclass feature is Wrath of the Storm. Strike back at an attacking creature, potentially dealing 2 to 16 lightning damage. On a failed saving throw, you deal half of that damage roll. Cool. And then the last domain for a cleric is the war domain. I think this is like the tank cleric, basically. Fortified by holy zeal, you brandish an arsenal of sacramental savagery to use against those who you deem unrighteous. Yeah, that sounds about right. You get divine favor. Your weapon deals attacks deal an additional 1 to 4 radiant damage. Pretty cool. It's a evocation spell. And then Shield of Faith, protect a creature from attacks, increase its armor class by 2. Subclass features. You're a war priest. When you make an unarmed or weapon attack, you can spend a war priest charge to make an additional attack as a bonus action. Yep, that sounds good. That sounds good to me. I believe in the war domain, at a later level, you get proficiency. You can choose a proficiency with heavy armor, I think. So you can basically dress in chainmail and just tank. I think so. I might be wrong, but I believe that's the case. Right. Moving on to the next class. We have a few more to go, guys. Druid. Druids channel the elemental forces of nature and share a deep kinship with animals. Mastery of the wild shape allows them to transform into beasts all over the realms. You have 2 cantrips that you can choose from. Yep. And a bunch of cantrips that you can choose from. So you have 6 in total. You can choose 2. That's awesome. And then you have 5 spells and you get level 1 spell slots unlocked. Okay, interesting. Okay, and I think a druid gets to choose a subclass later in the game. I think so. Yeah, I think all the classes that don't have a subclass from the get-go, they get to choose a subclass at level 2 or 3, maybe? Something like that. But you cannot see it right here, right? Some classes like the Cleric and the, I believe the Paladin? Yeah, the Paladin have a subclass. Yeah. But the others get their subclasses later. Anyways, moving on to Fighter. Fighters have mastered the art of combat, wielding weapons with unmatched skill and wearing armor like a second skin. They get Second Wind, which does 1d10 plus 1 healing. Draw on your stamina to heal yourself. And you have fighting styles. So adopt a particular style of fighting as your specialty. You can be a warrior that wields a ranged weapon, right? So if you go for archery, you gain +2 bonus to ranged attacks. Pretty cool. You can be a sort of like a tank type situation. If you go for defense, you gain +1 bonus to armor class while wearing armor. You can be a dueling warrior. When you're wielding a melee weapon that is not a two-handed or versatile in one hand and no weapon in the other, you deal an additional... Sorry, it says dueling. Yeah. You do an additional 2 damage with that weapon. Great weapon fighting. When you roll a 1 or 2 damage die for an attack with a two-handed melee weapon, that die is rerolled once. Protection, I think it's again sort of like a tanky build. When you have a shield, I think this one is actually more of a tanky build than the defense one. When you have a shield, impose disadvantage on an attack against your allies when you are within 1.5 meters. You must be able to see the attacker. So basically when you're next to somebody in your squad and someone attacks them, you can impose disadvantage on that attack. And then you have a 2 weapons fighting. When you make an attack with your offhand weapon, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the attack. Pretty cool. Alright. Moving on to the Monk. This was the last class that they presented before the launch of the game. Channel your cosmic enlightenment by deftly dodging and efficiently disabling, or disassembling, I should say, your foes through stunning strikes and a whirlwind of martial art attacks. You get Flurry of Blows. I think this is a very cool ability. So, Flurry of Blows, punch twice in a quick succession. That's awesome, because you get to roll for every punch, which is amazing. Class features, you get Ki, which is the magic that flows through all living beings. You can use it to exceed your body's physical capability. So basically you get key points that you can spend to enhance your abilities. There, of course, the key points are limited and you get them back after a short rest, I think. Alright. Unarmored defense, your reflexes are as effective as any armor. While not wearing armor, you add your wisdom modifier to your armor class. This is pretty cool. Martial arts, dexterous attacks. Attacks with monk weapons and unarmed attacks scale with your dexterity instead of your strength if your dexterity is higher. Deft strikes, attacks with monk weapons and unarmed attacks deal 1 to 4 bludgeoning damage unless their normal damage is higher. And martial arts, bonus unarmed strike. After making an attack with a monk weapon or while unarmed, you can make another unarmed attack as a bonus action. So basically, you're gonna hit for days. It's gonna be crazy. In combat, I think monks are amazing, to be honest. Because they can hit so many times. Paladins. Fueled by the oath you swore to uphold justice and righteousness, you are a beacon of hope in dark times. You have Lay on Hands, which you can use your blessed touch to heal a creature or cure it of all diseases and poisons. Okay. And then you have Divine Sense, gain advantage on attack rolls against celestials, fiends, and undead. That's a bonus action. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And a class feature, Channel Oath Charges. You gain the ability to channel the power contained in your Paladin Oath, which you can use to fuel certain actions. Pretty cool. So you get these oath charges that, again, similar to the key for the monk, you get to use them to enhance your abilities. And you have some subclasses from the get-go. You have to choose a subclass. You can go with Oath of the Ancients. You fight on the side of the light in the cosmic struggle against darkness to preserve the sanctity of life and the beauty of nature. You get Healing Radiance, which says heal yourself and all nearby allies for 5 hit points, regain another 5 hit points next turn. And as a subclass feature, you get Oath of the Ancient Tenets. Oath of the Ancients, Paladins, abide by the following tenets. Kindle the light. Through acts of kindness, enkindle the light of hope in the bleakest hollows of despair. Shelter the light. Where love blooms, stand against the devilry that would snip its stem. Preserve your own light. Delight the culture and small joys to preserve the light in your own heart. Okay, so this is the good paladin. We then have the Oath of Devotion. Following the ideal of the knight in shining armor, you act with honor and virtue to protect the weak and pursue the greater good. So this is the better paladin. This is the good, this is the better, and this is the bad, basically. Holy Rebuke. Grant an ally a vengeful aura that deals 1 to 4 radiant damage to anyone who hits them with a melee attack. And then subclass features. Courage, stride dauntlessly into action. Compassion, show clemency when prudent and lend your arm to those in need. Duty, tend to your responsibility, obey just laws, and support those entrusted to your care. I think these are more like role-playing features, I think, in Baldur's Gate. I might be wrong, but that's my opinion at the moment. And then we have Oath of Vengeance. You have set aside even your own purity to right wrongs and deliver justice to those who have committed the most grievous sins. Interesting choices of color here, but yeah, I like it. Actions, you have Inquisitor's Might. You or an ally's weapon attacks deal an additional 2 radiant damage and can daze enemies for 1 turn. That's a bonus action. That's cool. And Oath of Vengeance. Paladins abide by the following tenets. Fight the greater evil. Exerting your wisdom, identify the higher morality in any given instance and fight for it. No mercy for the wicked. Chasten those who dole out their villainy by whipping their blight from the world forever. I actually think that the Paladin class as a whole, I don't think there is like an evil Paladin, but I know that you can break your oath and then you become an oath breaker Paladin, which has consequences. And not just in terms of like RP, but also like in terms of, I think, abilities that you get and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. But Paladins, in essence, I believe they are like good people. All right, cool. Rangers, here we go. Rangers are unrivaled scouts and trackers, owning a deep connection with nature in order to hunt their favorite prey. You get the cantrip True Strike, gain advantage on your next attack roll, and Beast Tamer, summon a fey spirit that takes an animal form of your choosing. That's pretty cool. So you get a pet, basically, and actually a pet that can be used in combat. You get to choose your favorite enemy. So here we go. Studying the tactics and abilities of certain creatures has granted you a set of abilities that is useful in a variety of situations. Bounty Hunter. You gain proficiency in investigation. Creatures you hit with enraging snare have disadvantage on their saving throw. Nice. Keeper of the Veil. You specialize in hunting creatures from other planes of existence. You gain proficiency in Arcana and can cast protection from good and evil. That's a spell. Nice. Mage Breaker. Actually, hold on a second. Yeah, there we go. Boom, find familiar. You get protection from good and evil. Yeah, like I said. So protect an ally against the attacks and powers of aberration, celestials, elements, fey, fiend, and undead. The target can't be charmed, frightened, or opposed by them, and when these creatures attack it, they have disadvantage. Mage Breaker, you have a history of battling spellcasters. You gain proficiency in Arcana and can cast True Strike. Ranger Knight. Okay, you have sworn to serve a crown or nation and seek to bring its foes to ruin. Gain skill proficiency in history and armor proficiency with heavy armor. Cool. Heavy Armor Ranger. Okay. Sanctified Stalker. You soar to hunt the enemies of a holy or druidic order. You gain proficiency in religion and can cast Sacred Flame. Sacred Flame does 1d8 radiant damage, engulf a target in flame-like radiance. Nice. Okay. Cool. And then, years of traveling in the wild have made you particularly attuned to beasts or adept to surviving in certain environments. You can be a beast tamer. You have cultivated a strong bond with animals. You can cast Find Familiar without expending a spell slot. You can be an urban tracker, which means an expert at navigating the wild within the city. You gain proficiency in Sleight of Hand. Okay. Wasteland Wanderer for cold, fire, and poison. So Wasteland Wanderer says you have spent endless days surviving desolate tundras. You gain resistance to cold damage. For fire, I guess you gain resistance to fire damage because you've spent your time in the deserts. And then for Wasteland, you gain resistance to poison damage because you went and spent your time in swamps. Because why not? All right. Rogue. With stealth, skill, and uncanny reflexes, rogues' versatility lets them get the upper hand in almost any situation. You get 2 actions here. Sneak attack. Deal extra damage to a foe if you have advantage against it. Also works if you have an ally within 1.5 meters of the target and you don't have disadvantage. Nice. And sneak attack. Deal extra damage to a foe if you have advantage against. You can also deal... Okay, same thing. Cool. Nice. Sneak attack is 1d6 slashing. 1d6... Okay. Okay. Sorcerer. Damn, look at that. Sorcerers are natural spellcasters drawing on inherent magic from a gift or a bloodline. You get to choose cantrips from a lot of cantrips here. That's pretty cool. Okay. You get 2 spells to start with. Chromatic Orb. Hurl a sphere that deals 3 to 24 thunder damage and possibly creates a surface on impact. Alternatively, choose a different type of damage. Okay. Or End Magic Missiles. Shoot 3 magical darts, each dealing 2 to 5 force damage. They always hit their target. Nice. And the class feature of gaining a level 2 2 level 1 spell slots. Okay. Spells can... And you can choose between a subclass from the start as well. Interesting. So you can go Wild Magic. Your powers come from ancient forces of chaos. They churn within you, waiting to burst free at any time. And you get Tides of Chaos. Activate to gain advantage on your next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. Wild Magic stems... That's what I said. Okay. Draconic Bloodline. Your veins carry draconic magic. As a result of a powerful dragon ancestor, you get Draconic Resilience. So your hit point maximum increases by 1 for each sorcerer level. Nice. Your hit points, nice. And Draconic Resilience. When you aren't wearing armor, your base armor class is 13. That's pretty cool. Okay. And then Storm Sorcery. Whether crackling with the energy of ancient deluges or pierced by gales and hurricanes, your lineage is a strange tapestry scrawled by a tempest. Tempestuous magic. After you cast a level 1 spell or higher, you can fly as a bonus action until the end of your turn without receiving opportunity attacks. Okay, that's pretty cool, if I'm being honest. Alright, moving on to the second to last class, guys. We're getting there, okay? Warlock. Bound by a pact of an all-powerful patron, Warlocks trade their loyalty for supernatural abilities and unique magic. You get Eldritch Blast, which conjures 1 beam of crackling energy, does 1d10 force damage, and Blade Ward, take only half of the damage from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing attacks. You get to choose between multiple cantrips. Sorry, I was reading the ones that they selected, but you have multiple cantrips that you can choose from, and you can get your subclass already. Huh, cool. So your subclass can be the Fiend. Warlocks in service to fiends. Okay, so the way the Warlock works, for those of you that don't know, you have like a boss, basically, that commands what you do. You serve someone as a Warlock, because that's where you get your powers from, right? So, yeah, if you serve the Fiend, warlocks in service of fiends work towards corrupting, destructive ends, intentionally or otherwise, and receive hellish blessings in turn. So you get Armor of Agathis, or Armor of Agathis, I think it's pronounced. Armor of Agathis, yeah. Gain 5 temporary hit points and deal 5 cold damage to any creature that hits you with a melee attack. And it lasts until you take a long rest. That's cool. Okay. Oh, and you get Arms of Hadar. 2d6 necrotic damage. Prevent targets from using reactions. Nice. And as a subclass feature, Dark One's Blessing, when you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, this gift from your patron grants you 4 temporary hit points. Huh. When you reduce a hostile creature to 0, this gift grants you 4 Okay, that's nice. So the more you kill, the more HP you get. Cool. The Great Old One. Warlocks bound to eldritch beings in the far realm work towards inscrutable goals, gaining strange powers over entropy and the mind. You get Dissonant Whispers, which does 3d6 psychic damage. Frighten a creature, it will be easier to hit and cannot move. Nice. And Tasha's Hideous Laughter, that's a pretty cool spell. Leave a creature prone with laughter without the ability to get up. Nice. Subclass features, Mortal Reminder. When you land a critical hit against a creature, that creature and any nearby enemies must succeed a wisdom saving throw or become frightened until the end of their turn. This sounds pretty powerful. Alright, the Archfey. Graced by a lady or lord of the Fey, you are imbued with all the sumptuous and scary qualities of your patron's extraordinary realm. Okay. Fairy Fire, all targets within the light turn visible and attack rolls against them have advantage. And Sleep, we've spoken about this one already, but you can actually choose different spells. I always forget that you can actually choose different spells. Anyways, that was the Warlock. Moving on to the last class, guys. We're getting there, like I said. Wizards. Wizards master the arcane by specializing in individual schools of magic, combining ancient spells with modern research. You get to choose 3 cantrips out of a total of a lot, and you get to choose 6 spells out of a total of a lot. Jesus! That's pretty cool. I like it. And I think wizards have like 6 subclasses or something like that, or 5, maybe I might be wrong, but yeah, they have some subclasses. What else do you get? You have an action here, Arcane Recovery. Replenish spell slots while out of combat. You cannot restore spell slots above 5th level. Okay? And you gain 2 level 1 spell slots. Okay, so those were the classes, guys. On top of all these classes, we're going to quickly just go through the backgrounds. Backgrounds are other characteristics that you get, irrespective of what class you choose. And I think there was one other thing that I missed here. If we choose Cleric, you get to choose your deity. Now, these deities in Baldur's Gate 3 in the game don't offer anything. I don't know if they offer something in D&D 5th edition. They're more for role-playing stuff, so you get to like read about these deities, and I'm assuming that there will be some role-playing in the game linked to your deity, right? Alright, so backgrounds. These backgrounds, I believe, are available, like I said, for every class. And there's like, what, 8, 9, 10, 11 backgrounds. So these backgrounds offer certain skills, as you will see. So the Acolyte background says you have spent your life in service of a temple, learning sacred rites and providing sacrifices to the god or gods you worship. Serving the gods and discovering their sacred works will guide you to greatness. And you get Insight, which is +5 on Wisdom. Read people and situations, detect lies. I think it's +5 to Wisdom checks. And then you get +1 to Religion checks. Recognize deities, understand holy rites. Charlatan, you are an expert in manipulation, prone to exaggeration, and more than happy to profit from it. Bending the truth and turning allies against each other will lead to greater success down the road. You get Deception, which is a +3 to your charisma check. Lie and cheat, manipulate the truth, and you get Sleight of Hand, +2 to your dexterity. Basically, you can wield nimble fingers, steal stuff, helps you pick locks and pickpockets, and disarm traps. The criminal background, you have a history of breaking the law and survive by leveraging less than legal connections. Profiting from criminal enterprises will lead to greater opportunities in the future. You get Deception and Stealth. Okay. Entertainer, you live to sway and subvert your audience, engaging common crowds and high society alike, preserving art and bringing joy to the hapless, something like that. And Downrotten heightens your charismatic aura. You get Acrobatics, which is +2 to your dexterity rolls. Keep your balance, land on your feet, helps you resist being shoved. And +3 to performance, entertain audiences, command the stage. Again, charisma checks if you want to distract, basically. Folk hero, you're a champion of the common people, challenging tyrants and monsters to protect the helpless. Saving innocents in imminent danger will make your legend grow. You get animal handling, which is +5 to wisdom checks, to animal handling checks. Sorry, influence animals, pet all of the dogs. Okay. And survival, stay alive in the wilds, track prey. Nice. Guild artisan, your skill in a particular craft has earned your membership in a mercantile guild, offering privileges and protection while engaging in your art. Repairing and discovering rare crafts will bring you new inspiration. You get insight, read people in situation and detect lies, and persuasion, you can coax and cajole people. Noble, you were raised in a family among the social elite, accustomed to power and privileges. Accumulating renown, power, and loyalty will raise your status. You get a bonus to history, remember the past and the world of its people, and you get +3 in persuasion. Outlander, you grew up in the wilds, learning to survive far from the comforts of civilization. Surviving unusual hazards of the wilds will enhance your prowess and understanding. You get +4 to athletics checks, so stay fit, perform physical stunts, helps you shove and resist being shoved, and survival, track prey, and stay alive in the wilds. +5 to survival. Sage, you are curious and well-read, with an unending thirst for knowledge. Learning about the rare lore of the world will inspire you to put this knowledge to greater purpose. You get +1 to arcana checks, recognizing magic, interact with enchanted items, and +1 to history checks. You can be a soldier. You're trained in battlefield tactics and combat, having served in a militia, mercenary company, or officer corps. Show smart tactics and bravery on the battlefield to enhance your prowess. You get +4 to athletics and +3 to intimidation. And the last background is urchin. After surviving a poor and bleak childhood, you know how to make the most out of very little. Using your street smarts bolsters your spirit for the journey ahead. You get sleight of hand and stealth. And that's it, guys. These are all the classes, subclasses, backgrounds, everything that you need to know or go through when you're creating a character in Baldur's Gate 3. As you can see, it took a while to go through all of them, and it's going to take maybe the same amount to actually create a character and like customize it, because there is a lot that you can do when it comes to customizing. I'm not gonna go through everything in this video, but yeah, there is a lot. Anyways, this is what BG3 has to offer for you when you start the game. Now, in this version of the game, they will probably, hopefully, introduce some new things down the line, maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, maybe later, you know. But this is what you get when you get the game. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna start creating my own character right now, and maybe I'll do a video and show it to you. We'll see. Thanks for sticking around. If you stayed until the end of this video, thank you very much. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.